Okay, I want to give you a brief overview of how the system looks and works. This is our primary generator right here. We also have city power available sometimes, which is actually on right now. This is our transfer switch. We got this other circuit breaker. We got this, which puts either generator 1 or generator 2 in use when they're in use. We've got all of our breakers heading out to the campus. Over here we have our inverter system set up, our mate 3. Okay, let me start off with some of the problems we've had in the past. This generator right here, with that fuse, every time we would have a change of power, that fuse would blow, which would then make the screen go blank and generator would not operate. At first it just started happening when the generator would go to turn on, and maybe once every 3 weeks or so, and I thought maybe it was a faulty fuse or something like that. Then it kept increasing in frequency, and then it started happening when the power would change from anything to anything else, from city power to generator or inverter to city power, things like that. So, we've got these control wires here that fed into right here, these set of wires that went into the back of this board. That was the control wires that told the generator when to come on, when to turn off, things like that. Since I've disconnected that from the system, the generator has not blown a fuse. So our first thought was, well, maybe in this switch here, I'll open this up. So you've got these control wires that come in off of each trunk. You got generator 2 and 1. They go into these little, I don't know what these are, maybe a magnet switch or something like that. I thought, well, maybe one of those switches isn't quite closing or opening properly, so there's one for each generator. Maybe that's creating a capacitor situation or something like that. So, being generator 2 is one that's not used very often because it's a fuel hog and old and has its own issues. I switched the wires from this wire up to that wire, switched them around so that the new generator would use like the old generator switch, which would have a lot less use on it. It still blew fuses. So I thought, well, maybe that's not the issue. So if you follow these wires, oh, the other thing I checked was, this is metal conduit, and I thought, well, maybe one of these wires was chafed. So I pulled them all the way out of the conduit, looked them all over, no problems there. There's no chafing or anything like that. If you follow those control wires, they do go into this transfer switch. They come out of that chunk down there, somehow tie into this system. This is all very much more complicated than I'm used to, but this is kind of what the setup looks like. You've got the wires that continue on out through there, and I believe tie into that surge protector or something like that. I'm not sure where everything goes after that. So, the next problem we had arise is our inverters. 2 times now have shut down. I'll go over to here. One time when they shut down, the signal on the mate 3 default said AC out short. So what I did, I hit the bypass on all of these, so I bypassed them. Then I shut the inverter outputs down on each one. And I came over here and flicked all these big switches off. And counted to 10, flipped all the big switches on, deactivated the bypass, then put the inverter outs back in the on position, and it was okay. This happened again yesterday, and I did that same rebooting system, and after 3 or 4 tries, still they wouldn't turn back on. They kept all showing up with the red light saying error. When I looked at the event history, let's see, where were we? Alright, I must have erased it. When I looked on the event history, it said backfeed error. So, to me, that tells me that maybe this transfer switch over here is becoming the problem. First, it was blowing the fuses on the generator. Couldn't figure out why. It was just a temporary surge of power that would blow that fuse over here. When the fuse first started blowing, it just blew the fuse like a normal fuse would. But after a while, it started melting the plastic and, I mean, destroying it. Like it was big power coming through. It was only temporary. After you replaced the fuse, if I raked the new fuse over the terminals to like diffuse the phantom power, then after that it was fine. So, the fact that we keep getting something that's shutting down the inverters and now that backfeed error, to me, tells me that the transfer switch, something with that, is a problem. I did have a guy who was a representative for a generator company and knew quite a bit about electric. He came through all here and he put a voltmeter and looked on all the different things while the system was running, and he couldn't find anything that was out of the ordinary. Only he did have only like an hour or so to look at it. Now, I mean, I'm not sure what those things are down there, like an ice cube relay or something like that. Maybe it's something as simple as one of those things going bad or something like that. And there's a temporary surge of electric that's cycling back through. I'll just kind of give you a brief look at all of this stuff. Focus isn't very good. But, wow, it is really blurry. Sorry about that. I can give you the schematic on this, but I think it's not going to match the reality here. I think there's some things added to the system and all that that aren't on the original paperwork. So, I think that concludes for now.